Welcome back to another video, guys. Today I'm going to be breaking down my first 30 picks in my NBA mock draft. So let's get right into the video. With the number 1 pick, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Paolo Banchero. This past season, Paolo averaged 17 points and 8 rebounds and was a big reason why Duke was so successful. And I think he deserves to be the number 1 pick because even though he's 6'10", he's one of the most athletic players in the draft and has a super good skill set to go along with it. He's a super complete scorer because he uses his strength to finish at the rim, he has a really good shot, and he's also a very good playmaker. I also think he's the perfect fit for Houston because he would pair very nicely in the front court with Christian Wood. And drafting Paolo would also be perfect for Houston because it would give them 2 young athletic players to build around for the future. With the second pick in the draft, I have Orlando selecting Jabari Smith Jr. Smith is also 6'10" and plays a power forward position, but he plays completely different than Paolo. The biggest thing that makes him such a good prospect is his 3-point shooting. This season he shot 42% from 3, which is absolutely crazy for a power forward. But he's also an elite defender in the paint and when he switches on to guards at the 3-point line. And if he does end up falling to Orlando at number 2, he's a key piece to add to their team. He has superstar potential, but I think he's going to need a couple of years to adjust and then he's going to be really special. Then with a third pick, I think Detroit will select Chet Holmgren. And Chet has to be one of the most intriguing prospects in the past couple of years. Some people think he's going to be a superstar in the NBA, and some people think he's going to be a complete bust. But I think if he's able to gain some weight and get stronger, he's going to have a really good career. At 7 feet tall, he's able to shoot the 3 ball, he dribbles like a guard, and he's an elite rim protector. He has one of the biggest upsides in this draft, but there's some concerns with his game not translating to the NBA. So it'll be interesting to see, but if he does fall to Detroit, I think he'll pair very nicely with Cade Cunningham, and it'll give them 2 stars to build around. At number 4, I have OKC selecting Jaden Ivey. Now, a lot of people are probably going to disagree with this pick because the Thunder have so many guards already, but I think Jaden Ivey's the best prospect left, and I don't see why they wouldn't pick him. I could see them switching their pick with a different team or trading down though because they do already have so many guards, but if they don't, I think Ivey's the best player left. At 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, he has elite athleticism and is a knockdown 3-point shooter. He's also shown signs of becoming a good defender and reminds me a lot of Ja Morant. So I do think OKC should select him because he's the best player left, but I wouldn't be surprised if they selected someone else or did something else with their pick. At number 5, I have the Indiana Pacers selecting Keegan Murray. He's another power forward with great size that I think has more skill than Paolo Banchero and Jabari Smith. His offensive game is just about perfect where he can score from all 3 levels. But the downside to his game, and the reason why he's not going to be a higher pick, is because he's not as athletic as those guys and he's not as skilled as a defender as them. With that being said though, he'll definitely be a good scorer in the NBA for them and he's going to help them win right away. With pick number 6, I have Portland selecting Bennedict Mathurin. I've watched a lot of his games this year and I think he has the potential to be one of the best players in this draft class. At 6'5", he's a super skilled and athletic guard that reminds me a lot of Jalen Brown. He also has great strength and seems to be NBA ready at only 19 years old. I also think he would fit very well in Portland and would be a good guy to replace CJ McCollum. Because with him gone, Dame is going to need another guy that can score, and Mathurin can score with the best of them. This season in college, he averaged 18 points, and I could see him doing the same next year. With the 7th pick, I have Sacramento selecting Johnny Davis. Davis is another shooting guard that had an amazing season for Wisconsin. He has good size at 6'5" and is a very good shooter. I think he would fit well with the Kings because he can be more of a spot-up shooter for De'Aaron Fox and can score well with that. He's also a very good defender and has shown flashes of being a good playmaker. So I think it would be a very good pick for them because it would fill the shooting guard spot they need after trading away Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. With the 8th pick, I think New Orleans will select Shaedon Sharpe. Sharpe is a very interesting prospect because he didn't play a single game in college, but he's too good to pass up on at number 8. At 6'6" with crazy hops, he finishes really well around the rim, and he's also a very good shooter. And I think New Orleans is a good team for him to land at because with CJ McCollum there, he's not going to be asked to log big minutes right away. Instead, he's going to have more time to develop and become a good player. And at only 18, he already has a lot of skill and he's going to be able to develop it even more. With the 9th pick, I have the Spurs selecting Ochai Agbaji. He's the type of player that can go in and play right away for the Spurs and bring a lot of athleticism and a lot of scoring to their team. He's very quick getting to the basket and then has a high vertical which helps him finish around the rim. One of the problems with him as a prospect though is he's already 22 years old, so he won't have as much time to develop as others in his class. But going to the Spurs would be good for him because he could be one of their leading players, maybe help them win more games. With the 10th pick, I think the Wizards will select AJ Griffin from Duke. Griffin averaged 10 points and 4 rebounds this year for Duke, but is being considered a high pick because of his potential. At 6'6", he has a very good 3-point shot, very good mid-range shot, and is also very athletic. And Griffin can play the 2 or the 3 spot depending on if Bradley Beal returns to Washington, and whether he does or doesn't, Griffin's a good piece to build with for the future. With the 11th pick, I think New York will select Jalen Duren. The Knicks already do have Mitchell Robinson, who's a pretty good center, but I think they'll want Jalen Duren because he'll end up being better in the future. Duren plays an older style of game because he scores mostly only around the rim, but he's very good and I think his game will translate well in the NBA. He also is a really good defender at the rim and he does a very good job of blocking shots and using his body to contest. So I think the Knicks would be very happy taking him with the 11th pick. At number 12, I have OKC selecting Jeremy Sochan from Baylor. Sochan would be a good pick for OKC at number 12 because he brings a lot of defense to the team. He has great length and size at 6'9 and 230, and at this size he moves very well and is able to guard 1 through 5. And this would be really helpful for the Thunder because right now they have a lot of scorers but not a whole lot of defense on their team. Picking up Sochan would be huge for them and I think it could really help their team out a lot. Now he doesn't bring much to the table as a scorer, but OKC needs a defender, so he's perfect for them. With pick number 13, I have Charlotte selecting Mark Williams. Charlotte is in desperate need of another center, and this gives a perfect lob threat for LaMelo Ball to throw to. At Duke this past year, he averaged 11 points and 7 rebounds, and had a lot of really good performances during the March Madness tournament. While watching him in college, you can tell how good of a prospect he is because he can run the floor very well, and he's also a very good scorer around the rim. He also showcased his athleticism in college from his high-flying dunks and his blocks. With the 14th pick, I have Malaki Branham going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Branham was an amazing offensive player this year for Ohio State that scored at all 3 levels. His 3-point shot and mid-range shot was really impressive, but he's also a very good finisher around the rim. And bringing this scoring ability to Cleveland would be very helpful because they don't have a whole lot of scorers at the forward spot. He could also fit nicely because he doesn't have to worry as much about his defense because they already have a whole lot of good defenders and he can focus more on his scoring. Another thing that's good for him is he's very young, so he has a lot of time to develop. With the 15th selection, I have the Charlotte Hornets picking TyTy Washington with their 2nd pick. Washington is a quick, crafty point guard and shooting guard, and I think he would make a great backup for LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. This year, he averaged 13 points and 4 assists and had a couple of games that really flashed how good of a scorer and playmaker he is. And at 6'3", he's not too tall for a guard in the NBA, but his quickness helps make up for that. After Charlotte already got their center, I think they're going to be trying to add more depth to their bench, and I think TyTy is going to be a very good pick for them. With the 16th pick, I have Atlanta selecting Tari Eason. He is a 6'8" forward that averaged 17 points and 7 rebounds per game this year. And he is one of the best athletes at his position in this draft and has an NBA-ready frame. And he's the type of player that will give 100% effort every game and will be a great player to pair along with John Collins. With the 17th pick in the NBA draft, I have the Rockets making their 2nd selection, Blake Wesley from Notre Dame. Wesley averaged 15 points per game last year and showed his potential of becoming a high-level scorer. He's a super skilled shooter on pull-ups and finishes well around the rim. I could see him fitting nicely at the Rockets' 3 spot and would give them another rotational player to work with. And if Houston were to select Paolo Banchero and Blake Wesley, I could see them having a pretty good team next year. At number 18, I think Kendall Brown will be selected by the Bulls. Brown has elite athleticism at the wing spot and can jump out the gym. He also has a lot of upside on the defensive side of the court because of his athleticism. It helps him block shots and steal the ball easily. At 6'8", he moves very well and can be a very good rotational piece for the Bulls. He'll most likely sit out most of next year to develop, but if he does get some time, I could definitely see him shining. With the 19th pick, I think the Timberwolves will select MarJon Beauchamp. He has great size at 6'6" and has shown flashes of being able to score from anywhere on the court. He's also super quick getting to his spots and this helps him out a ton. And the Timberwolves could use more depth at the small forward position and I think he would pair really nicely with Anthony Edwards. With both of them being insanely athletic, it'll be hard for other teams to guard. At number 20, I have Nikola Jovic being selected by the Spurs. The Spurs love to draft players that they can work with and develop into stars, and I think he'd be the perfect player. At 6'10", he plays like a guard and he's super crafty with the ball. And one of the best things about his game is his playmaking ability, which is really impressive for somebody at his size to do. I could see the Spurs bringing him in and developing him more to the point where he can play at a bunch of different positions. And he'll really be an interesting prospect to keep up with because he has a lot of potential. With the next pick, I have Dyson Daniels going to Denver. He stands at 6'7" and plays the shooting guard position, but has really impressed because of his playmaking ability. He would be a great fit along Jokic and would be able to get him the ball in good spots. He's also a good spot-up shooter, but he needs to become a little bit more consistent. This year, he only shot 30% from 3, but he has good form and he just needs some more time to develop. All in all, he would be a great pick for the Nuggets at this spot in the draft. With the 22nd pick, I have Walker Kessler heading to Memphis. Memphis is in need of another center, and Kessler is an elite prospect that would fit great next to Ja Morant. He would be the perfect lob threat for Morant in pick and rolls. But the main thing that he would bring to the Grizzlies is his elite rim protection. This past season, he averaged 4.5 blocks per game at Auburn, and this would be a big help for Memphis, who isn't the best defensive team. He also has a huge frame at 7'1", 245, and is already NBA ready. At pick number 23, I think Kennedy Chandler will be headed to Brooklyn. The Nets aren't in desperate need of a certain position right now, so I think it would be smart for them to build up their bench and add Chandler, a guy who can learn behind Kyrie and Simmons and develop into a star. He is an undersized point guard at only 6 foot, but he's lightning fast, which helps him cover up that weakness. And I think he'll need some time to develop in the NBA, but he'll become a very good player in the future. With the 24th pick, I have the Bucks selecting Christian Koloko from Arizona. Koloko is another center that plays old school while mostly just being a threat underneath the hoop. But he has great size at 7'1" and could be a guy that goes in and helps the Bucks out right away. With Brook Lopez getting older, they're going to need another center, and I think Koloko is a good pick for them. And pairing him next to Giannis in the game would be a nightmare to go against because their size and athleticism would work very well together. Then at pick number 25, I think the Spurs will select Jaden Hardy. Hardy is one of the best scorers in this draft class and can give just about anyone a bucket. And he was once considered a top 5 pick, but after not having the best season in the G League, his draft stock dropped. Although he is an elite scorer, he can be kind of one-dimensional, and sometimes he takes bad shots as well. However, getting a player like him at 25 would be huge for the Spurs, and as long as they work with him to be more consistent and pick his shots better, he can be a great player in the future. Then with the next pick, I have EJ Liddell being selected by Dallas. Liddell is one of the smoothest players in this class, and he's a handful to guard. He can shoot from anywhere, he's strong at the rim, and he has a great handle at 6'7" and 240 pounds. The problem with him as a prospect though is he isn't a great athlete and he's undersized at the 4 spot. I could see him sliding into the 3 spot in the NBA, but he's going to have to get quicker and become a little bit better of an athlete. But Dallas would be getting an experienced guy that can go in and help right away. At 27, I have Miami picking Bryce Mcgowens. Mcgowens is a great athlete and a big-time scorer as well. He is 6'7", and at the shooting guard position, he averaged 17 points and 5 rebounds per game for Nebraska this year. And although the Heat already have a lot of guards, he's too good to pass up on, and if they develop him to get more well-rounded as a player, he will be very good in the future. He also holds a lot of potential, and getting someone like him as a late first-round pick would be great for them. Then with the 28th pick, Golden State selects Max Christie. Golden State is another team not in much need of a certain position, so I could see them picking up Christie as a guy to put behind their already stacked guards and use him more in the future. He's 6'6" at the shooting guard position and is a great 3-point shooter, which the Warriors would love. He also has an amazing mid-range shot and is able to get high above his defender to score. All around, he would be a very solid pick for the Warriors and someone that has a lot of potential for the future. Then with the 29th pick, Memphis makes their selection with Patrick Baldwin Jr. Before the season started, Baldwin was predicted as a lottery pick, but after a subpar season at Milwaukee, he's looking like a later first-round pick. Still, I think he could be a special player, and at 6'9", he has good size for a wing. And if he's able to pair this size with a more consistent 3-point shot, he'll have a very good career. He also could fit perfect with Memphis because he'd be a spot-up shooter for Ja to kick the ball out to. Finally, with the last pick in the first round, I have Orlando Robinson going to OKC. The Thunder are going to need a center, and getting Robinson with the 30th pick would be huge for them. Averaged 19 points and 8 rebounds per game this year, and is 7 feet tall and can shoot the 3 ball, but he also has great moves around the rim. I could see him going in for the Thunder next year and making an impact right away. And not only is he a guy that can go in and play right away, he also holds a lot of potential for the future and can be built around. Well, that'll do it for my 2022 NBA mock draft, and if you made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe. Also, make sure to leave a comment on what you thought about my mock draft and what you would change with yours.